This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, everyone. Some of you may recognize that iconic ear, the butterfly ear, that in fact belongs to Ribbon, the matriarch of the Djuma clan. The other hyena is Comet, who is so large I'm not even sure they are going to be able to walk properly. Who knows what they had to eat last night, but it's a great start to the morning. We are going to be coming to you live from many different locations across South Africa, bumbling along with you on the back of our vehicle. It's a great day. Now everyone, get ready, because it's that time of day for your live safari through the African bush. Ribbon has been doing some roly-polies for us, and because Ribbon started rolling, Comet followed suit, but he struggled because he is so large. I do not know what he had to eat, but he is absolutely humongous. So welcome aboard, everyone. I'm sure you can imagine that I am overjoyed. It's a great start to today. My name is Lauren, and I do have Davy on camera today. And it's interesting, we're right outside the entrance to the den. Look at the size of him, and he's following her. My goodness. I think that's the largest hyena I've ever seen. She rolled, he rolled. She moved, he moved. He's completely following her. But of course, she is a matriarch after all, so he has to keep her happy. But as they move off, we're right next to the hyena den. So we are, well, den number 1. For those of you who possibly missed it, the hyenas appear to have moved dens. And we managed to catch the move yesterday, which was really something to see. So, of course, this is your live safari, as many of you know, and you guys can talk to us. You can interact with us. And how you do that? Well, if you're on Twitter, use that hashtag WildEarth. If you're chatting on the YouTube chat, then please use @FC, which stands for Final Control. Or you can head over to the WildEarth website, register, and then submit your questions there. Or kids, if you're under 18, we really, really want to hear from you. So please think up some incredible questions for us all. And you guys email us, kidsquestions.wildearth@wildearth.tv. There we go. I got it right in the end. Lots of hyena tracks, hyena tracks, hyena tracks. But den number 1 is just here. So it's going to be really interesting to see, are they still there or have they gone back to den number 3? It was such an incredible sighting yesterday, really, to see them all moving the cubs, and it's risky, of course. Let me just find the entrance. It's also overgrown from when Corky was the matriarch. Go in here. Wings of a dove, you're saying you have fallen in love with the hyenas already. I am glad to hear that. I've even forced all the cameramen here to love them as well. They are just so enjoyable to watch. I'm glad to hear you say that. Okay, this is den number 1. Whether it's active or not, I don't know. Does this bring back memories for you, Davy? Okay, there you have it. There's the entrance hole, believe it or not. It looks tiny from where we're sitting. I'm not sure I could squeeze in there, but it's obviously not active. This is where they were yesterday, and Tima, June, Gingerika, Navella, and Tima's little one. And they were all fitting inside this tiny hole. But you can see it's completely overgrown. So I think now we need to bumble on and check den number 3 and see if we can have any luck over that side. Maybe they were just taking a break yesterday. But it's risky. It's risky for them to move cubs that are small as Antima's baby. Really, I mean, there's some photos Marcel was telling us last night from the Chobe of a leopard with a hyena cub hoisted in the tree, which sounds really sad. But of course, all the predators will kill one another's offspring, every single one of them, when they get the chance. So it's a big sort of mission to get them from one den to another, especially when it's overgrown like this. The grass is so long that Antima's cub almost got lost yesterday. And it was crying, it was starting to panic. And I say it because we don't actually know if it's a male or female yet. Okay, I'm going to bumble on to den number 3 now and hope that there's some activity. But for now, let's take a look at the weather across all our locations.
Good morning, everybody. Warm welcome to andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve, where we've come across this beautiful big elephant bull giving himself a nice dust bath. Look how he's even using his feet there to kick up the dust. And we've come out to this open area here at Phinda to see if we can find the lions that we saw on top of the lookout point yesterday and see if we can maybe get a better view. But my name's Chad. On camera today we've got Craig. And yeah, we came across this elephant bull not too far from where those lions were last left last night. And I'm pretty sure they would have moved from the top of that little ridge where they were yesterday. So we'll see if we can find any tracks of them and then hopefully see what they've been up to. Maybe, hopefully we can get a better view than we had yesterday in that tall, long grass. But it is quite a gloomy morning here on Phinda, quite overcast, so there's a potential that these lions could still be active quite far into the morning. I mean, the sun hasn't even started peeking out of the clouds yet, so it's nice and cool, good for predators to be active. So hopefully we'll be able to find those lions for all you viewers sitting at home. It's amazing to see how much dust is actually on this elephant's back. Oh, look at that, how he's just picked up a small little shrub. Look how he's chewing it. You can actually hear him chewing. And you can see, I mean, the grass is very, very long in this area, and he's picking out specifically those small little shrubs that are maybe just started to sprout after the rains that we've had. And they'll be very, very soft and very nutritious. And that's why he's picking up those shrubs and feeding off them. But you can see now he's actually feeding off the grass. It's a beautiful big elephant bull, and we did see 2 of them, so maybe they've just been hanging around the same area, feeding together. But he's got beautiful big tusks, quite a large elephant bull. You can even see on the backs of his ears how they've started to fold over, and that's an indication of quite an old elephant bull. So, I mean, if I had to guess just by looking at the size of this elephant, the girth of his tusks, the ears, also he's got an indent in the top of his forehead, just above his eyes. And I think this elephant bull would probably be in the region of like 40 to maybe 45 years old. So quite an old elephant bull. He could even perhaps be a dominant bull that will mate with the herds and things. but he might be on his own now, just feeding. And when he comes into that phase we call must, where it's heightened testosterone and he's ready to mate, he may start to make a mission to see if he can then find the herds of elephants and potentially find a female that might be an estrus and ready to mate. So I think for now we're going to probably leave this elephant bull. We're going to continue, see if we can find any lion tracks. For now we're going to send you over to Andrew, who wants to say good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve. This morning we actually have a female kudu actually moving away. She was browsing around in this area. My name is Andrew and I have Mpo on camera this morning. So we actually decided to start in this region, which is actually northern, the boundary of the reserve. And off she goes. Where kudu, they mainly browser, and they always stick to the bush quite a lot. When they come to the open area, they can, but they mean to be in a thicket due to the browsing they do. So we're in the area here searching for was actually a buffalo herd that was seen early this morning. So that's why we came to this northern boundary here of Djuma. So I'm going to continue to check. Hopefully we get this herd of buffaloes. I'm going to be sending you across to Tswalu.
Good morning from Tswalu. A beautiful morning. We've already got a nice journey of Giraffe. And that one was doing his aerobics, and now he seems to have found a bone or something to eat. He's practicing what's called osteophagy. So once again, good morning. You're with me, Deirdre, and on camera this morning is BK, and we just have a spectacular sunrise and a beautiful day to look forward to. So whenever we see little partial clouds like that, we know as soon as that sun gets to a certain height, all those little clouds are gonna dissipate, and we're gonna have a nice, very, very warm day. So you can see that the giraffe is probably still has that bone or something in the mouth. And Megan is saying, what a beautiful sunrise at Tswalu. We do get some absolutely spectacular sunrises as well as sunsets. So what that giraffe is doing is it's picked up a piece of bone, so it's just sort of rolling it around across the teeth, trying to chip off bits of bone. It's really, really good from a calcium perspective, but sometimes they get a little bit stuck. So we're seeing the giraffe busy doing that. That's adult female. Very short horns, actually, relative to the rest of it. So that practice is known as osteophagy. So aphasia means to eat, and osteo meaning like bones. Just such a beautiful scene with that group of giraffe. Now that light's coming out properly now we're getting golden yellow colours. That's the second giraffe doing the same thing, and now there's another giraffe down there bending down. So I'm not too sure if they're not picking up a creeper or something on the ground, because that's the second. And then there's another giraffe that's just bent down. So there might be a creeper or something in the ground, maybe even those wild cucumbers that that they're eating. Oh, I can hear jackals calling in the background. That's nice. They should be going to bed, not waking up. Yeah, I think that's exactly what just fell out of that giraffe's mouth. Looks like one of those wild gemsbok cucumbers. Which generally have lots of spikes. I'll try and find one later for you this morning, but they have been ripening over the last few weeks. So maybe that's why it's difficult to deal with, because they've got lots and lots of spikes on the edge of the fruit. So, yeah, that's exactly what they're eating. Oh well. You can come to the Kalahari and see something you've never seen before. Laura Moore says he looks like he's singing. I was thinking exactly the same thing. If you had that and you could put a song or a meme to that, you could make quite a funny little video. Would that classify as a photo bomb, BK? I think so. He just walked straight through the shot. Never mind me. So we're going to send you from our singing giraffe across to Steve at Djuma. He wants to say hello.
Well, thanks, DJ, and good morning, everybody. Welcome again to Eco Training Predation. My name is Steve. I'm joined by Gat on camera, and we survived the storm last night. We made it back just in time, and the heavens opened, and the wind and the rain was pretty something to behold, I must be honest. The grass is very, very wet, but we're excited to be out on foot once again. Again, we've got our trusty backup, again this time Willem, who is working on that smile of his wonderfully well. Willem, good job, sir. Please, if you have any questions for us here as Predation, please do send them through. Love to hear from you. So now what's very interesting, not that it's that interesting, but we've got a buffalo track over here in the sand. Probably going to try track this and see what we can come up with. Very easy to see the front foot. There's the toes there, and then the second on top. And this is after the rain. You can see how it's disturbed the soil. If I did that with my stick, you can see how the difference in the coloration. If this had been rained on, it would have been a very different color, and the edges here all would have changed. See how it's very fine, very, very good. So there's the front foot, much wider than the back foot, very much like a cow, if you've ever had cow tracks before, cloven-hooved animal. And what this fellow has been doing, he's actually been doing what we talk about in Nyala and Kudu, and he's been registering. He has his second set. So here's the left side, here's the right side. And when an animal walks like this, where they step their front foot on their back foot, he's obviously a little bit skew on that one. You can then go back to the third track, which is actually here on this dung. You can actually see how he's brought sediment in here. We talked about erosion yesterday. You can see the sediment from the hoof is on the track, or on the dung over here. So this is the third track. So if you take 3 tracks, a left, a right, and a left, you can do right, left, right, and you do a little mark in the sand, like that, sort of to the back of the hoof, and then you go all the way, and you do another mark in the sand to the back of the hoof again. You can actually work out the length of that animal. It's the way that they walk, the length of the stride would be from one foot to the next. So that is how he's walking. So that's generally could be looked at as shoulder height, which I don't think is correct in this individual. He's probably a lot bigger than that. But you can work out the length of the body. So from the shoulder to the hip would be over here. Is that about right, Gerrit? For a buffalo? I've never measured a buffalo like this before, but it works very well with kudu, bushbuck, nyala, and cats. If cats are registering, when they walk like that, you can work out their shoulder height, which is often from that foot to that foot. And then the length of the body is from the front to the third track at the back. So we're going to walk down the road here, see if we can find some more tracks of this fellow. Maybe he joins up with some more, see if we can find them for you.
It's the month of March and WildEarth is offering you the chance to win a brand new prize. Sign up to be a WildEarth Explorer and you could win a 5-day eco-training ranger experience for 2. Eco-training is the pioneer and leader in safari guide and wildlife training in Africa. The lucky winners can look forward to approaching dangerous game on foot, tracking and 4x4 driving, learning about animal behavior, and even spending one night sleeping out under a blanket of stars. In addition, you will also get the exclusive opportunity to join the WildEarth team on the broadcasting vehicle. Sign up to be an explorer now, and it could be you that wins this life-changing experience. Terms and conditions apply.
Riverbeds are a great way to find water and look for places where elephant have excavated hollows. You can then dig into the sand, and after a couple of feet you should find damp sand which then can be squeezed out or siphoned off for water. And with water being one of our scarcest resources, it is a good idea to conserve water where and how you can.
My name is Lauren and I'm currently working in Djuma Private Game Reserve here in South Africa. I love answering your questions during the live safaris. It's my favorite part. It feels like you're on the vehicle with me and I'm able to teach you exactly what you want to know. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, you must go to the live safari page and ask your question below the live feed.
Hello, Mama. Just checking us out, everybody. There's no aggression here. Very relaxed. A herd of elephants moving around your car like that. It's truly, truly magical.
Tune into WildEarth every single day. It's in your nature.
Welcome back to andBeyond Phinda, everybody, where our tracking mission has paid off and we've found these lions, the 4 lions that we were with yesterday in the long grass, on the move, which is just so incredible. And they've actually just joined up with Mom. So they're giving a bit of a greeting. I wonder if Mom hasn't maybe been off looking for potential food. But you can see they're all rubbing up against Mom, just greeting her. And I don't know if you can hear, but I can hear monkeys and baboons alarm calling just off in the distance. And I think they've definitely spotted these lions on the wall that we're on. There's quite a prominent waterhole just off to our right hand side. And maybe these monkeys and baboons were roosting for the evening and now have spotted. Can you have a look at that one? Sorry, it was just doing what we call a phlegm grimace. Maybe it will do it again. There, have a look at that. It's quite incredible what it's doing. And what it's doing is it's actually processing the urine. I mean, these lions are now probably 1.5 to 2 years old, and they're getting to an age where they're going to have to start establishing a territory. And they might be smelling urine of lionesses, maybe that potentially pass through here, maybe seeing if they're starting to come into estrus. And they're just processing all the information that urine will be giving off. You can see that all three actually went there. Almost giving a morning smile. I'm going to try slowly go a little bit further forward. But it's quite incredible. I mean, we had yesterday afternoon a lioness with her 3 younger cubs. They were also very playful. And now to have these 4 lions very active is quite incredible. So we're having very good luck with lions here at andBeyond Phinda, which is just amazing. Can even hear a hardy-dar off in the distance. Ruth, yes, we do know which pride this is. So this is a pride that's often spent time in this area here in the western parts of andBeyond Phinda. We call them the Baala pride. It's an area of the western section of Phinda. So we are pretty familiar with these lions. We do follow them quite closely. I can see the baboons and monkeys now off also on the left-hand side that are alarming. There you can see some of them. Let's just listen to the noises. And as I say that, they keep quiet. I think with these monkeys and baboons, you can even hear the hippo. I think with these monkeys and baboons alarming at this lioness with her 3 male cubs, I think she's going to want to potentially take them out of this area. And you can hear it's a constant alarm call. And all other animals in this area are now going to be aware that there are predators around, and they're going to be on very high alert. So, I mean, if she is looking to potentially hunt, which it is a good opportunity for her to hunt at a time like this when it's very, very cool still in the morning, she's potentially going to move quite a distance away from this area. But it's just incredible to listen to all the noises. I mean, the vervet monkeys, the baboons, the hippos. Actually seems like they're starting to go up a little rock face. I'm going to try to go a little bit forward. See if we can maybe get a view of them as they climb up the rock face. I can actually see one just on the rock, so let's get a little bit further forward and then I'll stop. Isko, the baboons, they do have the same call for all the predators. So it's that very deep sort of bark almost that you can hear off in the distance now. How incredible is that? These lions have literally climbed up to the top of a rock. Now they're almost playing king of the castle. Lots of noises happening out here this morning at andBeyond Phinda. I can see that one lion is just looking off into the water. I think it's maybe seen the hippos moving around. The hippo is also pretty vocal this morning. And you can imagine that vantage point up there. I mean, yesterday we were with that lioness with the 3 cubs also on top of a boulder. And they must have had a nice vantage point. And with this vantage point, they're going to be able to see quite far off into the distance, especially in this area where we are of andBeyond Phinda. It's very, very open. It seems like the lions don't actually really mind those baboons alarming at them. They don't seem too worried at all, so I don't think they're going to be out and about hunting this morning here at andBeyond Phinda. So it's an amazing scene that we got here. I mean, quite dark, clouds in the background, very overcast, 4 lions on a rock, baboons alarming, monkeys alarming, there's a couple of birds calling, hippos calling. What a way to start a Monday morning. I wouldn't want to start my Monday morning anywhere else in the world than here, right at andBeyond Phinda. I can see that the other lion's just at the back of these 2 on top of the rocks. It seems like it wants to also get right up to the top. Maybe it's feeling a little bit left out. Oh, they jumped down a little bit. It's incredible how that one on the left-hand side just almost put his feet right over the rocks, and you can see those massive paws of this young male lion. Oh, and that one on the right, oh, that rock's maybe a little bit too sharp to rest his head on. That rock that they're lying on doesn't actually look too comfortable, but I mean, it's incredible how animals will make the most comfortable, the most uncomfortable rock comfortable. Yesterday I got asked a question if lions find the rocks comfortable, and I mean, as you see now, I don't think they would be lying up there if they didn't find it comfortable. That one is just trying to find the most comfortable spot, and it doesn't look like there's even a spot for it to lie up there. Oh, maybe it's going to try jump up there. How beautiful is that, though, to have all 3 of the cubs together. There there was a baboon that was alarm calling, and it almost had something stuck in its throat. It was coughing. It's amazing how it can go from so loud to quiet. So Melissa, there's this lioness, so she's got 3 males. So these 3 cubs are all males. And then there is another 2 lionesses, and they've got 2 female cubs, the one, and then the other one has 1 male and 1 female, if I'm not mistaken. So within the pride, when they are all together, it's these 3 and then another 2 males, younger males. They're quite a lot younger than these 3 that we're looking at now. So there's 5 male lions, young male lions within this pride. And then there's 2 dominant males. So those males are about 7 years old. They've got beautiful big manes, almost golden manes, and quite dark black also. So hopefully we are able to find those male lions for you guys sometime. But we actually haven't seen the 2 dominant males for a while, or any tracks of them. So they may be up in the mountains here at andBeyond Phinda, maybe recent marking their territories. And I'm sure one of these days those 2 dominant males will pop out somewhere, and we'll hopefully be in that area, see if we can find them for you guys. But I think it is definitely worthwhile spending a little bit of time here with these lions, seeing what they get up to. I mean, you can see they're not sleeping. Sleeping lions, they lie very, very flat, not doing much. These lions are still up and about, looking around. And I mean, I wonder if Mom might maybe move them after she's had a good scan from that vantage point. Maybe seeing if there's anything out there that she can potentially go and hunt this morning. You can see like any little noise or movement in the grass, these lions will take note of and look around and see. They've got a beautiful view over this waterhole just off to our right hand side. And I think they might just be looking at the hippos. The hippos are moving around a little bit. Maybe that's what they're looking at. You can hear that monkey still alarm calling, and the baboons. They have almost slowed down the alarm calls. I think maybe those monkeys and baboons are slowly starting to move off. They know that the lions have settled on the rocks here, so I think they might just slowly start to move off away from where these lions are. But monkeys, they do have an advantage, and baboons, as they are able to stay up in the trees. And lions, unlike leopard, not the best of climbers. So there's no chance that they can really climb up a big tree. I think we're going to spend a little bit of time here with these lions, see what they get up to. But for now, we're going to send you over to Steve, see what he has for you.
Well, welcome back, everybody. We've got huge amounts of birds going crazy here. Hornbills, arrowmark babblers, southern crown shrikes. Huge amounts of them. Even the Wahlbergs. He's got a nest nearby, came in and started getting all antsy. I don't know if maybe there's a giant eagle owl in there, or a very large snake. The Wahlbergs. Never seen a Wahlberg's eagle move in chase off other predators. But they do have a nest nearby. It's possible they would engage. Wahlbergs being the smaller of the eagle species here. Burroughs eagle owl would be a threat, as would a giant snake. Should try to go a bit closer, huh? Maybe we'll see something. Must be careful. There are buffalo nearby. Found a spot by the dam there where he was drinking last night. Here we go. Yay! And there goes the Wahlbergs after him. How incredible, everybody. The Wahlbergs are going to say, get away from my territory. Well, both Wahlbergs pair were after him. So that, I think, is quite incredible. We had the birds going crazy. I thought to myself, it must be a giant owl. And then the Wahlbergs came in from the top, got bombed a little bit as well. But same predators, same danger. How interesting. Well, did you get it? Well done. Okay, well, we're going to head on back towards the watering hole where we had some activity of that buffalo. Came down to drink. Not the same one, but there are probably a few in the area. We're going to walk down there and show you a little bit of buffalo activity and see if we can track them down. Some nice little muddy wallows just up ahead and some nice tracking. But when I say it happened last night, it's quite obvious to tell because the rain has fallen on top of those tracks. And when the tracks we had just before were much fresher heading in that direction, and these ones have come out to the mud wall and headed up there. Watch out for the sickle bush. I'll show you a track and then also a beautiful view. How's that sound? Very pretty down here by the water. Rose, would you say I always seem extra cheerful, or everything seems extra cheerful after a storm? Well, the storm last night was unbelievable. It hit us very quickly. We saw it coming and we managed to get... the birds always seem extra chirpy. Definitely, Rosemary, after rain, all the birds that have survived the rain, they demarcate their territory again, because not only predators but also weather can be a telling blow on many of these birds' lives. But here is Leopard Dam, very pretty. So the demarcating of the territories again after the night is a common affair, and generally after a lot of rain you get a lot more shouting, but it might also be that the low-hanging cloud makes the noises a little bit more audible. But we had the most amazing sun coming out of the clouds right at the end, just as the storm was abating and heading further more north. Beautiful, beautiful clouds after a very, very rough storm.
WildEarth is launching a brand new bushwalk from Pride Lands. With a slew of potential dangers lurking, it's essential to be aware of your surroundings whilst walking in the wilderness.
20 yards away from one of the most endangered species. This is a big bull.
What a moment, what a close encounter with an Ellie bull. He's just over here now. He's moved completely away.
Being on a bushwalk and seeing a leopard, I mean, it's ridiculous to be this close to a leopard on foot and for him not to run is absolutely insane. How crazy was that?
Through the gap there is just the back of the head of a male lion. He is absolutely unaware that we are here right now. I'll tell you, seeing lions on foot, it definitely brings out the caveman in you, this little scared human being.
What are you looking at, man? That's its gangster face. It has the manners of a common variety vagabond. Look at it, chewing with its mouth open like that.
My name is Steve, and one of my favorite things at WildEarth is getting questions from you. The type of questions that I really like are those ones that really help us to unpack and understand and really integrate the ecological knowledge and fully appreciate the importance that animals such as these Cape buffalo bring to the ecosystem. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, you're going to have to register on the website. But once registered, just head on over to the live safari page and enter your question under the live feed.
Something very, very interesting. I didn't plan this, but this is a scene, rarely seen. This is what we call a journey of giraffe. So beautiful.
Tune into WildEarth every single day. It's in your nature.
We found a beautiful princess in amongst the long vegetation. I think this is the bandied garden orb. Now, I actually got asked a question the other day that I'd never thought of. The garden orbs and the golden orbs are different. They belong overall to the sort of group of spiders known as the orb web spiders or the orb weaver spiders. So it's a sort of group, and there's lots and lots of different species. I think this is the bandied garden, hanging in its usual position, upside down. You can just see they always sit in the center of their stabilimentum, whose function is still to be determined by science, but you can just see underneath it. There you go, Davi's giving you great views of stabilimentum. You can hardly see the rest of the web, but you can see that. Isn't she beautiful? I think she's beautiful. Apparently there's another one. Shall we try, Davi? It's very hard when you're looking into the sun. And we're actually looking around for mareebs at the minute. Apparently mareebs has crossed onto Djuma. I'm going to try our very best to find them. Oh, wow. It's such a joy to... Oh, I think that's the male. The male's above this one. I don't know what species this is. I think it's one of the golden ones. And you can see the difference between male and female. It's very substantial. Females really do rule the roost. Oh my goodness, I'm just going to turn that down. They really are everywhere right now, and it's so wonderful to see them. And some orb weavers, particularly in Australia, where they're called the banana spiders, which I just love, they actually construct their web daily. So they build their web as soon as the sun starts to come up, and then they take it down again at night time. That seems like a lot of effort to me. That would eat a lot into their energy budget, so they must ensure that they sort of feed enough before they take it down every day and then start again. But the particular species that we get here, they don't take down their web. It's the same web day in, day out. Unless it gets damaged, of course. And one of the biggest causes of damage to their webs are elephants, because they just bombard right through, and it breaks the entire web. Garden orbs are found all across the world, not just Africa. Americas, Europe, Asia, Australia, and Africa. They're very sort of widely distributed. David, no spider is poisonous, believe it or not. Poison is the wrong word to use for spiders. So poisonous and venomous have completely different meanings. So when you say an animal is venomous, what that means is that they do contain toxins, and it has to be injected. So in order for it to affect you in any way, shape or form, that organism has to have a means of injecting it into you via a sting, a bite, fangs, a harpoon, any sort of appendage or organ that ensures that the venom gets into your body. So even if you touch it, it's not going to harm you. That's venomous, which all spiders are. But not all spiders have venom that's strong enough to hurt you or have means of injecting it into you. So therefore, when you see any spider, it will contain some venom, but maybe just very, very weak venom in extremely small quantities that would never harm you. Whereas poisonous has to be either absorbed through the skin or ingested. So snakes are venomous, scorpions are venomous, spiders are venomous. And the sort of main spiders that you really that would really harm you here in South Africa, at least, you have the black and brown button spider. It contains a neurotoxin. There's a baboon spider that actually has a neurotoxin. And then you have the... Dobby's playing the violin for me. Thanks for the reminder there, Dobby. The violin spider and the sac spider and the six-eyed crab spider, which are all cytotoxic. But other than that, really here in South Africa, the other ones are not dangerous at all. Still don't want them in my bedroom, but not dangerous. We do actually have a little wolfy spider in our bathroom that's called Wolfgang. He's very sweet. We're fond of him, but other than that, I don't want other spiders. But they're not dangerous. Okay, we're going to scratch around this area and see if we can see any signs of mareebs. But for now, over to Steve.
Welcome back, everybody, to Leopard Dam and to some buffalo tracks in the mud that happened during the rain. Now, I can tell you that because of the fact that you see how muddy it is. Animals stepped here while it was raining, and then it's been rained on. See, it's not very fresh. If I demonstrate the freshness, that is what it would look like. So this buffalo came down probably during the rain last night. You can see that there's a track over here in the mud. It's not very easy to see. Another one here. Often what all you can see is just the caked sediment that's left behind. They stepped right over here. There's one foot. There's a second foot. And then here is where one of his feet went into the mud to drink. He actually got his feet right in there. The second foot went over there. And then a hyena stepped in there on its way through. See where the buffalo's track is dug through like that. So you can tell it was very wet when it did it. But it's been rained on. It doesn't have that same shiny texture. And it turned in this direction. There's the front foot. And there's the back foot as it walked. And it headed in this direction up towards these marulas. So we're going to carry on. See if we can pick up on where the animals are gone. But there's some interesting damage to the marula tree there that we'd like to show you the power of an elephant. Definitely not a buffalo that did this. But as we go, we're always looking for the big sign. There you are. Looking for the big signs of these animals out in the wilderness. And this marula tree was absolutely smashed last night. It was actually already before last night. We came here just before the storm hit. And we were keen to discuss this tree at length. But the storm was looming. And we made it back just in time. Now, have a look at the size of this. I couldn't even move this. There's no way a group of us would even be able to move this. This tree has been completely smashed. Huge branches pulled down. I'm almost certain the elephants actually caused it to be broken because it's been fed upon as well. All around, here we go. You can actually see where probably the head or trunk or tusks were used to push. See how scratched it is there. And talking yesterday about antihistamine, if you do get stung by anything, and there's some very horrible thistle-like plants such as, if you do get stung by something, I always look for plants like this that already, well, this tree's not going to grow again. So getting the cambium layer out of this red bleeding material here. That red blood-like material there. You rub that on any sting or anything that's hurting your skin, and it is absolutely fantastic, the immediate relief that you get. So, do elephants eat this for the antihistamine property or for the nutrients? It's very hard to say. But this tree, broken, damaged, the structure. Have a look at how this has just been snapped. And there you can actually see the mud of an elephant's face. Or maybe that was an elephant rubbing his body afterwards on the edge. But no chance at all. And all around the base, there are branches that have been fed upon by the elephants. There's some dung. There's some tracks. Branches. Here is a branch that's been corkscrewed so as to get that cambium layer out. And that's exactly what they're probably looking for. They don't really eat the wood, just eat the bark. Okay, well, we're going to move on from our elephant damage and see if we can track down some of those large animals called buffalo.
So we're still sitting here with these 4 lions sitting on top of the rock face. You can see one's just almost trying to reposition. Maybe he's going to go try and find another spot on the rock to lie down. Let's see where he goes. You can see how carefully he's moving. Doesn't want to make any wrong move up there. He's just scanning to see which rock's going to be the best. I wonder if he's going to find a nice little spot on this next rock. Oh, he made the leap of faith. He's starting to groom his small little mane that's starting to grow. I mean, you can see that there's a little bit of fluff on the side of his chin. Even under his neck, he's starting to grow that mane. I mean, these young males at 2 years old, you can already start seeing that mane. Even almost the mohawk has started to grow. And it's quite incredible how quickly a male's lion mane will grow. I mean, you'll start seeing it probably at about a year old, maybe just over a year. And I mean, these guys, they're probably around 2 years old, and it's already the mane's quite prominent. And it'll be amazing to see these 3 youngsters grow up and see how their manes do develop over the next little while here on andBeyond Phinda. I can still hear there's a monkey alarm calling in the distance. At all, yes, this is going to be a solid coalition. I agree with you. I mean, 3 male lions dominating an area, it's quite incredible. I mean, it's a force to be reckoned. I mean, the 3 strong male lions, it's going to be they might even, I mean, in a couple of years' time, give the 2 male lions in this area a run for their money. I mean, 3 males is probably always going to beat 2, but even maybe when they're younger, because they're 3, they might even be able to push out the 2 dominant males towards a new area. But we'll just have to see what does happen when they do start to grow up. But I think they are going to still spend quite a bit of time with mom. They'll probably be in this area with their mom probably for the next year. And then maybe just after a year is when the 2 dominant males will come and kick them out of this area, and they'll then have to go and establish a territory within a different region of andBeyond Phinda. And I mean, there's an area not too far from where we are now that the 2 male lions that dominate this area now don't often go. So I wonder if they do come of age where they get kicked out, maybe they'll go and see if they can start scent marking and start making that the territory of their own. But it does seem like these lions are slowly starting to rest a little bit. I wonder if they're not going to spend the better part of the morning here. I mean, it is still pretty overcast. I can see that there is a little bit of blue skies starting to come off in the distance. I think maybe if it does start to get a little bit sunny, they might even move off that rock face. There is quite a lot of shade around this area where we are. So they might just move into a little bit of shade. But I mean, for now, it's a beautiful spot for them to be in. You can see that one's just resting his head, trying to find a perfect spot, almost like a pillow. Craig, thanks for your question. Predators don't ever alarm call. So it's only the prey that alarm calls. So you'll never find a leopard alarm calling or a lion alarm calling. So things like nyalas, kudus, baboons, monkeys, and so forth, they alarm call because they're vulnerable to these predators. I mean, these lions would eat any of those animals that I've just mentioned. And so because they could be prey to these guys, that's when they alarm call. But no, predators don't ever alarm call. Predators will call, but not alarm call. Lions will vocalize. So often the vocalization is for their territory. So it's to let other lions in the area know that this is their territory. Nobody else must come into it. Sometimes they call a contact call, which is quite a low growl that they're trying to contact one another. And then a leopard will rasp. It's like almost a saw when they rasp. It's quite an incredible noise to hear. But yeah, they don't have any alarm calls that they will do. But it's just there's the hippo in the background. It's just an amazing scene here at Phinda. I mean, we had those lions on the rocks yesterday. We got more lions on the rocks today. I think we're in for another beautiful morning here on Phinda. Now, I don't think we're going to spend too much longer with these lions. They seem like they are slowly starting to settle down. I mean, it's a nice spot for them to be able to settle down. I think once we do leave these lions, we'll most likely continue in this grassland. Maybe see if we can go find anything else special for all you sitting at home watching. So I think for now, let's leave these lions. They're settled on these rocks. They look very comfortable and cozy. I think we're going to continue, see what else we can find. And while we do that, we're going to send you over to Tswalu.
So you're back at Tswalu, and I found a very strange looking wildebeest. Have a look at him and tell me if you can see what's different about him. He's also got quite a spiky hairdo, but he's totally missing the tips of his horns. So, quite a unique individual. I haven't seen him before, but he is definitely recognizable having two little short stumps. And why it happened, I wouldn't be able to tell you, but they can lose portions of their horns in a fight. But his are just literally worn down on both edges. He's just standing in the shade. Oh. On the other side of a blackthorn. He's been standing there for a while, so he's staring at us, and he hasn't really moved since. You never notice how spiky their mane is until you've got no horns to look at. He's beautiful nonetheless. He's telling us to get lost. We've just been snorted at. Ryan's asking the question, do wildebeest practice osteophagy? And to be honest with you, I can't think of a time that I've ever seen them do it. I've seen giraffe do it, more than anything else. I've seen kudu do it, but I don't think I've ever seen a wildebeest do it. So I haven't seen it, but it doesn't mean it's hasn't occurred. But I have seen wildebeest practice geophagy, which is eating of the soil, and that'll get minerals and nutrients from the soil. But I would have to say no, I haven't seen it personally. It's a very cooperative wildebeest, I must say. We're probably the first thing he's seen in a very, very long time. So he's just staring at us, we're staring at him. And it looks like there's a lesser grey shrike just over his shoulder. So on the left-hand side of the screen for you. He's just been perched on the tree. So, having the disadvantage of not having horn tips like that is it means he's possibly not going to be able to fight successfully for females. So, unfortunately, he probably doesn't really get a chance to be a breeding male. But we're going to leave our funny wildebeest. I'm going to call him a funny wildebeest, and we're going to send you across to Steve.
Thanks, Dee. Well, we've managed to find some more fresh tracks of buffalo, and these are on the other side of the dam. You can see how clearly the mud has been kicked up off of this. There's been no rain on this. It's very, very fresh. You can actually see how shiny that one is over there. And there is the back foot on top of the front foot being very wide. And it's heading straight down towards the watering hole. And you see how it's pushed this up. No rain has fallen on this. If there was rain on there, it would be very, very broken up on the edges. This is heading down nice and fresh. If you follow it down, this trail goes straight towards the water. So buffalo, see here's some old buffalo dung. See how it's quite dry and quite green, and definitely doesn't look like it was very fresh, versus a little bit of dung that we're going to find just here in a moment. It's actually been stepped in. You can see that one buffalo has walked and then another one has stepped in its dung. There's no way that a buffalo is able to step in its own dung unless it's going backwards. So there's more than one, and you can see that this is very, very fresh. You'll still see it's green inside. It hasn't even started to go black on the outside, probably just a couple hours old. The flies haven't even gotten here yet. No insects. Very green and mushy. There we go. We've got a dung beetle that's made its way in. That is one of our endocoprids or paracoprids. And that dung beetle will be burying that dung directly down below it. So dung beetles are very quick at finding dung. But also, if this was rained on, it would have a very different consistency. It wouldn't look the same way. And I know it's quite gross to look in poo like this, everybody, but it is part and parcel of what we do out here. See how finely broken down and digested those grass particles are in there, and how moist it is. Buffaloes are very, very water dependent. So when you find buffalo tracks and you want to save yourself a whole lot of time, just head down towards the water, and that will help you to sort of find where they've gotten to. The tracks we had by the dam earlier headed away. These guys probably went and fed up in the grasslands just up ahead, and now early this morning at some point they've come back down to drink. So we're going to follow this, see if we can find them for you, because I'd love to find some buffalo on foot. That'd be pretty cool. Gert?
Yeah.
Gert would like that too. So these go straight down. And it gets a little bit muddy. And what I'm quite interested about is that there's a hyena that has actually been following. There's at least one, there's two, there's more tracks here. This hyena has been following. We actually found a hyena on our way through here earlier this morning, looking very excited. He's following these buffalo. We had the track in the mud over there earlier. It was directly on top of the buffalo track. And as we follow this further down and into the water over here, where it's very muddy, where the buffalo have drunk, the hyena tracks are there as well. So I don't know. Here you go. You can see the very muddy nature of those buffalo going through the mud. Very slippery and slidey. They go up onto that sort of bank and down to the water's edge. See how nice and fresh it is. It's very slippery, so we're not going to go all the way down. But they walk down there and then peeled off towards the left. Okay, so we're going to walk around onto the other side, see if we can find out where these buffalo went after they drank, and we're going to send you back over to Djuma with Andrew.
Cool, so we got a frogs, which is our forminess frogs that are there sitting on that nest, but it's all about, forming that nest. Usually form of a nest completion, whether rebuilding or building of a nest, can take up to about maybe 7 hours. It looks like more than one there. Usually female, she'll be attached to the branches and the male will ride on top of the female. And then as he displays his legs, and this is how he fertilizes female's eggs. Where there are actually not the territorial frogs where you find all the males, females are mixed up in one position. Sometimes they can actually work together to actually build that nest up. How do they build a nest? It's actually how the male displays his legs, so then that actually secretion coming out of the female. That's how they form nest. As a form of white. And they would choose very low branches sometimes, but it's got to be not close to water, because terrapin and there's able to eat on this forminess itself. Terrapin, Egyptian geese have been also seen feeding on this nest. So I'm going to move around about, see if I can find anything else. I'm going to be sending you across to Chad in Phinda.
So welcome back to andBeyond Phinda, where we've just left those lines and we came across very, very fresh buffalo dung. And just around the next corner, we came across this beautiful herd of buffalo out grazing here in the western parts of andBeyond Phinda. How cute is that little young buffalo standing right in the middle of the road? You can see the tail swishing. And there's mom just standing in front of that youngster. You can see she's just having a look at us, wondering what's going on. A couple of them are looking at us. And there's a red-billed oxpecker. Oh, yep, there it lands back on that buffalo. You can see there's a couple of red-billed oxpeckers flying around this herd of buffalo. And you can imagine with all the grass and lots of fresh grass around after the rains, a lot of ticks around. And I mean, for a big buffalo moving around in this grassland, you can imagine the amount of ticks that these buffaloes must pick up. And with those red-billed oxpeckers, they must be thriving at a time like this, especially around herds of buffalo. I mean, with the buffaloes having quite a lot of soft skin in between their legs, around the rump area, even around the ears. That's a perfect spot for these red-billed oxpeckers to go and eat all those ticks. And you can see also a lot of the buffaloes, their tails are swishing. There's a lot of flies around this time of year. Excuse me. And so those tails are just wagging, trying to get rid of the flies. Sometimes you can see the buffalo, they actually get a little bit annoyed with those red-billed oxpeckers. Sometimes when they go into the nose or try to go into the ears, these buffaloes will then shake their heads and try to get rid of those you can see they have just slowly started to move off. They know that we're not a threat or anything like that. The wind is picking up a little bit, and maybe that's why they just moved off a little bit. But there's another youngster just in the road. You can see those horns are just starting to poke out. Very, very cute and almost quite fluffy on the back. And when buffaloes are born, they're almost very, very fluffy, similar to cheetah cubs, very fluffy. And they're born quite brown in color, similar to the grass when it's winter time, that almost yellowy brown color. And you can imagine if predators such as those lions we are just with were in an area like this and they spotted this herd of buffalo, those youngsters will often blend into the grass. And those lions, I mean, because of a young buffalo, it's quite a good prey option for them. They're not going to be able to see those youngsters clearly. So they're just going to be able to see the adults, and it gives them a better chance of surviving, and a better chance for those lions maybe not to hunt a big herd of buffalo with no youngsters in it. These buffaloes also making use of this cooler morning here at andBeyond Phinda. I mean, it's still pretty chilly. There's a cool breeze blowing, and I think maybe from here they might start to move down into a drainage line if it does start to get hot with all the rains we've had here. There's a lot of water around, and these buffaloes will then start to go and mud wallow. And it's quite incredible if you've ever seen it before. Buffaloes moving towards water, and when they get to the water, Often they lay in the water, try and cool themselves off. They also often will roll around in the mud to try and cover themselves in mud, almost acting like sunblock. But also I was talking about those ticks earlier, and you can imagine all those ticks and the mud that's caked onto the buffalo. When that mud dries, often the buffaloes will move to a tree when that mud dries and rub up against that tree to try and remove all those parasites like the ticks. But I think for now we might spend a little bit of time with these buffaloes. Let's send you over to Steve, who's on the lookout for buffalo.
Well, indeed, mud, wallows, cooling down is all part of it, isn't it? Lovely cool day here today. Well, our buffalo bulls have all come across this sort of slipway of the watering hole, and they've crossed. Some on this side, some on that side. And I think we might have found out what that hyena is following. There's tracks here, double set of tracks that came across the watering hole here, this little puddle. And you can clearly see very large male leopard tracks there. And he came from that side, probably following the buffalo as we see them doing all the time on Djuma, following buffalo, eating the dung, rolling in the dung. We might find some of that activity at some point. He was over here and then he jumped. Here's his track over here as he landed. He walked up this way. More buffalo activity that side, hyena activity. Then he came back this way. Ground's a little bit hard at this side. That's why it's not really showing. But when he landed here, he would have made a bit more of an indent like that. And he jumped back again. And there you can see where his feet landed. Much more sort of indentation in the ground. And then he went back up that direction. This foot here would have been his front foot. He landed, his back foot would have come straight in. He would have gone landed and moved his front foot immediately. You can see how that track there has been squashed, because this one landed, squished it, back foot landed, squished that one, and he would have gone back up the direction he came. So not sure if we'll be able to find this male leopard. We will see what we can do, but we're going to keep following our buffalo. Maybe we'll be lucky and he'll just be hanging around. But I think that's why our hyena was so excited when we saw him. He probably picked up on the smell of the leopard who's following the buffalo, who might provide the hyena with some food. That is something that we see all the time. Okay, well, some buffalo here, some there, heading straight down into this drainage line. So we're going to keep following, hoping we're going to find you as this group starts to grow. Lots and lots of bulls, but they're probably going to be bedding down at this point. They might come back to drink. Who knows, we might catch them along the way.
When on safari, there is nothing better than an evening spent under the stars chatting around a fire, with the sounds of the wild all around you. If you sign up to be a WildEarth explorer, you can build your own memories by joining our guides for regular fireside chats. Subscription payments can be made by PayPal, credit card, and now bank transfer. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature.
We get asked quite regularly what are the differences between African and Asian elephants. We caught up with Haresh, who's from Leopard Trails, which is based in Sri Lanka.
Of course, size and weight is the first thing you notice. The African elephant is much bigger than the Asian elephant. Tusks in the Asian elephant, it's a very small percentage of male elephants only who have tusks. I was told that there's a theory that the African elephant's ear is in the shape of Africa. The Asian elephant has a much smaller ear. The elephant represents the bush and the jungle in Sri Lanka in a quintessential manner, and I think it's very important that we do whatever we can to protect them.
Hi everyone, my name's Daniel Fisher and I'm going to be your guide this afternoon. I'm looking really forward to taking you through and showing you all the beautiful places here at andBeyond in Ngala. If you have any questions, please register on our website. Once registered, go to the live page feed and post your questions underneath the live feed. Join me on my next safari through andBeyond and Ngala on WildEarth. Send me live questions through the WildEarth website and I'll answer them live from the African bush.
This is a battle of two great carnivores of the African wilderness. Whew. Whoa! You don't want to be under those jaws. Definitely, this round goes to the lion. Look at that. Fantastic.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth.
Cool, so now we have actually tried to get closer look at these frogs. As I was about to drive past and I find another gap to look at them. And it looks like they, probably this whole process, it's been started I think all night for them able to form this nest. Well, I'm sure we're going to have rain. But usually tadpoles will emerge from that nest after a couple of weeks, lied inside to that form. When they hatch, they rely on bubbles for oxygen before they emerge into the water. And that time they're so vulnerable. In a few different ways, where these tadpoles, when they sometimes drop, not to drop directly to water when they emerge from the nest, they perish. Usually kingfishers will prey on them, such as snakes, these vine snakes, boomslangs. So it's very important when they emerge from that nest, immediately drop into water and they're able to survive. Suzus, I'm sorry, you repeat that question again? Oh, okay. So you're asking how long would they do this for? Usually it's a process overnight constructions. But depending on how many of them, if the number of them where some been seen, probably 40 males, 20 females in the same area, where here we only see maybe 3 in there. So it's probably maybe it's going to be over in a couple of hours later on. Usually it could take 7 hours for that nest to be rebuilt or built up. I don't know if you noticed, guys, when we were actually on a far distance looking at them there, they were not actually in that color. So they can also change color slightly to a few different color. When now they change, they kind of like coming slightly pure greenish white or creamer color. So let me go search around, see if I see maybe a leopard around here. I'm going to be sending you across to Lauren.
good luck, Andrew. From amphibian to reptile. They have a leopard tortoise. A small one. Oops. Sorry. They are the largest tortoises that we get out here. And they grow really, really big. They can go up to about 75 centimeters, which is of course just short of a meter, which is very large for a reptile, considering the fact that they power themselves from the sun. So this is quite a small one. One of my favorite ones to see out here. Moving ever so gracefully and slowly across the landscape. They are a very slow grower though. And they only really reach sexual maturity at around anywhere between 10 to 15 years old. Almost like humans really, and that's a very, very long time. And it's said that they weigh about 1 kilogram at 7 years old. And then they double their body weight every second year after that. So they just keep growing and growing and growing and growing. So once they get to 7 years, really that's when the sort of substantial growth spurts start. But that's only if there's good conditions. If the conditions are not good, then of course the growth spurts will not take place. Hello. Can't tell if it's a male or female. You can actually tell. Similar to sea turtles, tail is a good indicator. And in these particular ones, if you pick them up and turn them upside down to look at the plastron, you'd be able to sex them. But of course, we're not going to do that. That would not be a wise idea. In the scutes themselves, the shell is not just sort of a singular item. It's built up of lots of little scutes. And they're all named differently. So running down the spine, you've got the vertebral scutes. Then on the sort of side of the spinal scutes, giving support to that, you've got costal scutes. And then at the very, very perimeter, at the very edge of the shell, you've got the marginal scutes. And scutes are basically scales, and they're made up of keratin. One of the strongest material in the animal kingdom. And the scutes are not shed, so what that means is they just build up on top of one another. And that's how the reptile ends up growing. You just keep adding layer and layer of keratin after keratin to the base of each scute. So the top part that we are seeing are all the older scutes. It's basically just a rib cage that's fused together to form this protective body armor, if you like. But a really unique part of tortoises, at least, is that the shoulder blades and hibs are inside the body. Oh, it's a very unhappy starling. Okay, we're going to see what else we can find, and for now, over to Phinda.
So we're still sitting here with this beautiful big herd of buffalo, and there's one big buffalo bull that's just staring at us. You can see those beautiful big horns, beautiful big boss of his, and that boss, almost like a crown on top of his head. And you can imagine how strong that is. And often the males, they have fights, so like territorial fights between one another, and they often use that boss to protect themselves. When they clash horns, you can imagine that sound. Two horns coming together from 800 kilogram buffalo. It's quite an incredible noise to hear. And often buffalo herds like this one, it's made up of females and their young, and then a couple of dominant bulls. So within a herd, you might have a herd like this, maybe 4 or 5 different dominant bulls, and then a couple of younger bulls that might just be on the outskirts of the herd. And just like those lions we were with earlier, the dominant bulls will often kick out the younger bulls when they start to get a little bit older. And they'll kick them out just because they are going to start fighting for territory or for dominance. I mean, buffaloes, they aren't territorial. They've got what we call a home range. And a home range is just an area, quite a large area, that they will roam in. So not having a territory, it allows them to move vast distances in an area such as this grassland here at andBeyond Phinda. I mean, you can see how beautiful and open it is. Lots of hillsides, lots of drainage lines. So, I mean, they've got all they need around here. Lots of water, lots of grass. And also with buffaloes, them being ruminants, so ruminants, they regurgitate their food. So what that means is they'll often feed for quite a long period of time. And then if it does get hotter, they'll move towards water, settle in the water, and then they'll often, there's one that tried to mount there. And often when they settle in the water, they'll actually regurgitate the food that they've been feeding on and chew it consistently, and then swallow it again. And what that allows is for these buffaloes to get all those necessary nutrients out of the food that they've been eating. So I mean, buffaloes, they don't have to constantly feed like rhino or elephants. They are able to feed for long periods of time and then rest for also long periods of time at a waterhole. And you can imagine in the hearts of summer here at andBeyond Phinda, getting between 40 and 45 degrees, they're not going to want to be out in the open. They're going to be in water holes or in mud wallows, trying to cool themselves off in the midday heat. I mean, even here in winter, it can get to 35 or so degrees. But I think for now, these buffaloes, they are still grazing around, moving around slowly. But I think from here, we're going to continue. We've had quite a lot of luck this morning, so hopefully our luck will continue. But for now, we're going to send you over to Steve at Pridelands.
Welcome to Pridelands once again, everybody. Managed to get around the dam and found a whole lot of tracks. It seemed to be a breeding herd of buffalo that have arrived as well. And those bulls looked like they were going to join them, so a whole breeding herd of buffalo lying down. You can only see about 3. But the tracks and the activity at the dam heading back this way. It's quite interesting. Always nice to find buffalo. Can you see her looking at us? Apart from that individual, the rest have no idea that we're here. We're being very quiet. A good 50 meters, 40 meters away. The wind is gently coming towards us. It's not very strong. And when it comes to dangerous game encounters is any dangerous game animal on foot that you deliberately make an approach for. So we had their tracks, we kept following. We heard the oxpeckers, made a movement. Now we're standing here. The bush is quite thick, and it's not our intention to chase them. It's not our intention to run in there and make them run away. It's not what it's about. The ethical guide tries to see these animals, tries to feel what it feels like to be in their presence. And if you want to get photographs, well, then you've got to jump on the vehicle like they are at Phinda at the moment if you want to get photos of these guys, because just being here, presence of these big animals on foot, knowing that there's no real safety net, no comfort zone, is very, very special. I often tell my guests that walking is not about taking photos, maybe video, but photos are not going to get the best pictures. It's about the experience, it's about the feeling. Knowing that one of Africa's potentially most dangerous animals is lying over there. Medium-sized herd coming from Boston. Haven't seen many buffalo on this property, but it bodes bodes well for the presence of lions. Lions might follow them in from the west yesterday morning around at Tswalu Dam by camp. And now they've moved up towards Leopard Dam, so there's a good chance they're going to bounce between those two dams in these coming days. And as the lion's almost primary source of food, so there's a very good chance we might get some male lions on the property, which would be nice. I've only seen 2 single lionesses. Both of them seem to have gone all the way back over to the west. Okay, well, we're going to leave our buffalo sleeping. Don't want to disturb them. Down back over to Tswalu Kalahari.
So BK and I are also whispering because this Roan has just come in to drink at the waterhole, and it's taken him a long time to get here. So we're very fortunate that the wind is in our favour, but he's been very suspicious of coming to the water. He's been looking around, he's been snorting in the general direction just north of us. So he might see something. There might be a jackal or something around, but he still hasn't drunk water, but he's wanting to. But something's bothering him, so he's gone all the way around now. I don't know if it's to get better access to the water or if it's because of the wind. So while he drinks, he's going to get information coming in from behind him. Yeah, he keeps looking back in that direction. He is just beautiful, a big, tall roan. He's covered in louse flies. Lots of doves drinking at the moment as well. There's lots of Cape turtle doves and Namakwa doves, laughing doves drinking. He's moved over to one of the blocks where there's it's like a mineral lick. So sometimes they'll lick that first and then go and drink water. No. They are just beautiful antelope. Lisa is asking what is the most common antelope at Tswalu. So numerous and sort of numbers-wise, it would be the gemsbok or the oryx. They're the most numerous here. So roan is a relatively rare antelope. And they do... not many reserves have them. They really, really are beautiful. They are an endangered antelope. So that's a salt lick. So there's 2 options. There's a mineral block and then a salt lick. And you'll see even the birds are enjoying the little salt lick. There's 2 little Namakwa doves there, an incoming Cape turtle dove, and the roan's also just having a salt lick. It's like a lollipop, really. And then they'll consume that for a few minutes, just licking the salt, and then generally go to the water. So this just helps them if they're in an environment. It just helps add minerals and nutrients to their system that are lacking in the environment. So we'll stick around and see what he does, but he is a little bit nervous. We're going to send you back across to Steve for a buffalo update. Stay safe on foot there.
thirsty, think about licking salt lick. Anyway, everybody, we move just a little bit forward. Get a nice angle. Buffalo are a little bit alert, but we're out of that sort of warning, sort of danger zone. Got a fair bit of cover between us and them, but it's clear. You can tell that they are a breeding herd. A calf or two open a moment ago. See some of the females' horns. They're not concerned because the wind is in our favor. There's almost no light. And there's good cover. So they are quite inquisitive animals. The female that was looking at us before she snorted. And that caused them all to stand up. But they're looking in this direction. They can't really tell what we are. They aren't showing any negative signs. They are quite inquisitive. It is quite common for a herd of buffalo to raise their noses if they see you, to come closer, because they trust their nose more than their eyes. As soon as they smell you, quite a shift in behavior. Generally they run away. It's not our intention. Don't want to cause them any change in behavior. Andrew, it is incredible. Incredible. Get these big fellas on foot. A whole different story on foot. Control of yourself, control of your movements. Listening to myself and Willem, what we ask you to do. It's definitely brings you into the moment. Very, very grounding. I know we don't want to really talk about the element of danger, but potentially dangerous all the time, but being out here in the wild with the potential danger that it offers has a very, very grounding nature. It's the ability to change people's lives. I'm not talking about animals being aggressive towards you, just the thought and the fact that you know they're around is enough to make people really, really breathe into the moment. Breathe into the present and forget about all of those worries. Get very comfortable at home. All of our distractions, and we're distracted, we're very distant, distracted, very out there, not really present, not focusing on our breathing. First time you walk buffalo or elephant, I can tell you right now you're very well focused on your breathing, your heart rate. Eyes are scanning left and right, very attentive, very observant, very aware. Natural state that animals are in all the time.
It's the month of March and WildEarth is offering you the chance to win a brand new prize. Sign up to be a WildEarth explorer and you could win a 5-day eco-training ranger experience for 2. Eco-training is the pioneer and leader in safari guide and wildlife training in Africa. The lucky winners can look forward to approaching dangerous game on foot, tracking and 4x4 driving, learning about animal behavior, and even spending one night sleeping out under a blanket of stars. In addition, you will also get the exclusive opportunity to join the WildEarth team on the broadcasting vehicle. Sign up to be an explorer now, and it could be you that wins this life-changing experience. Terms and conditions apply.
Our bodies are made up of about 60% water, which means that in a very short space of time, you can dehydrate completely. A relatively efficient way of collecting water early in the morning is to take an absorbent material like a sock and to walk through the grass, absorbing the condensed dewdrops on the grass. Once the material is saturated, you can then squeeze it out into a container, or you can suck it out directly into your mouth.
Hello, I'm Marna, your WildEarth safari guide from andBeyond Ngala. What I really like about connecting with WildEarth viewers is that we get to speak to viewers instantly, and I get to show you this beautiful property. If you want to ask me a question, register on the WildEarth website. Simply head over to the live safari page and you can submit your questions there. Join me or one of the other guides twice a day on WildEarth.
Looks like it's a very difficult climb because every time it tries to climb, the ground is breaking, so it slides down. But it's the only one. Look at that. That is a call of desperation with a cub. It's like, what are you doing, mommy? Oops. Oof.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
So how beautiful is this? We just left those buffaloes and we came across this journey of giraffe. Just browsing out here in the western parts of andBeyond Phinda. And there's a beautiful big male giraffe. There's beautiful dark colors. You can see there's also a red-billed oxpecker hopping around on his back. And there's one male, and then to the left there's some females. We're going to stick around. We're going to send you off to Djuma. He's got an amazing bird for you.
Everyone, I am sitting on the edge of my seat. I think this is a new species of bee eater. It was very close to Darby and I, and our jaws hit the floor, but then of course naturally it flew away. So we're giving you a long distance visual before we try and get closer, because, well, birds be birds. We thought it was possibly the white-fronted bee eater. It's not the little bee eater, but now our visual is very, very far away. So get zoom in and screenshotting and help me here, everyone. I think we're going to try and get a little bit closer. If this is a white fronted, I will be absolutely blown away. But I don't know where I'm driving, Davy. Okay, in here? Okay, it's telling me to go straight. He can see it, I cannot. Let's see if we can get a closer visual for you. If it's a white fronted, that'll be the first for me, and that'll be a new bird for my bird list, which is so cool. The little bee eaters are obviously little. I know I don't need to tell you that. And they're very yellow and green. Whereas this one's got a very, very white chest and it's much larger. Okay, bear with us. We're going to try and get you closer. Okay, sorry, I'm following Darby's instructions. He knows where this bird would land. Is it on this dead tree? Ah, you got him. Okay. Davy, your eyesight's very good. Oh, no! Oh. Maybe just up ahead a little bit. Up ahead. Okay, let's try and go up ahead. But if any of you can identify it from that not so great visual we gave you, please do let us know. But the throat was very white. Definitely not yellow. Okay, we're going to try our hardest to get another view of this bird for you, but for now, over to Phinda with their giraffes.
Well, I wish Lauren luck with that potential white-fronted bee eater. It'll be amazing for her to get another lifer on her bird list. So I wish you luck in your search, Lauren. But we're still with these giraffe, and it's one male and then two females just off to the left-hand side. And it's quite amazing to see how much bigger the male giraffe is. I mean, he stands way above these females. Also a much more prominent big head. Also those beautiful big ossicones on the top of his head. You can see they're also very, very thick. And there's that little red-billed oxpecker sitting on the front of his nose. And we were talking about buffaloes fighting, and giraffe also do fight. They do something that we call necking. And I mean, you can see the massive neck on this bull giraffe. And they often fight one another for territory, for dominance, not for territories. And, oh, look at that oxpecker picking the ticks right off the eye. Oh, the giraffe didn't really enjoy that oxpecker on the eye. And they often fight each other to mate with the females. And they'll use those ossicones on the top of the head to fight. There's one giraffe that's actually right in front of us. It's almost come to investigate. She's coming right up close to us. She's probably 7 or 8 meters away from us at this moment. She's a little bit hesitant. Maybe she smelt some nice, fresh, new leaves that she wants to feed on. Just making sure that we're not a threat to her at all. And there she's decided to rather move off a little bit further away from us. Sure, that's quite beautiful. The sun's just made an appearance, broke through the clouds, and it's amazing how quickly it heats up here on Phinda. I mean, you can see now there's a lot more light. It actually almost makes the giraffe very golden in color. I mean, that male is very, very dark, those patches, where the females are a lot lighter in color. If we have a look at that male giraffe, you can see that he's regurgitating his food, so he's ruminating. We were talking about it earlier with the buffaloes. And that's what he's doing. He's regurgitating his food, trying to get all the necessary nutrients out. But for now, we're going to probably continue, see if we can find anything else interesting. But we're going to send you back to Lauren, who hopefully has a view of that white-fronted bee-eater.
We've got another visual for you. And when I said white-throated, I actually meant white-fronted, sorry. But I don't think it is a white-fronted. It's really, really difficult to tell. It could be the European. We're looking at definitely a bee-eater. But as to which species from this long-distance visual is not easy. There's actually 3 of them, and for some reason, Davi's doing an incredible job at spotting them. I am not. Flew off. Are any of you wonderful birders able to help me out here? Which bee-eater are we looking at? It's definitely not the little or the carmine. And it's one I've never seen before. That I understand. We really need a close-up. But they're very, very flighty. I mean, birds generally are flighty. But I think that might be the last we see them. Did they fly further off, Dov?
I didn't even see.
You didn't even see me neither. Wow. We were on our way to a herd of elephants, and that bird just took us by surprise. And the frustrating thing, it was very close, right next to the car, and then, of course, it flew off. But please do help me out here, #WildEarth or @FC. I mean, the little bee-eaters are common. They're wonderful, but they're common. The carmines are pretty unique out here. They do arrive for summer. It's a very exciting thing when they arrive. We saw them up in Buffelshoek at Kayamanzi Dam not so long ago. But that's the only bee-eaters I've ever seen here. Really easy to tell that they're a bee-eater. They've got a very, very unique shaped beak. And it was the coloration of this one that was so striking. And it's a European. It's a new one for my bird list. I have never seen that one here before. I'll actually just quickly get my book out to show you the European, in case everyone is wondering. Bee Eater 278. It's somewhere. European Bee Eater number 3. There you go, Darby. So it's actually not got a white throat. It's yellow. It just looked very white in the distance because it's probably contrasted against the turquoise parts. It's a summer visitor. And it's definitely much bigger than the little. That was the first thing I noticed, the sort of size difference. It's often seen mixing with other bee eaters. That's interesting. Okay, I'll need to add that to my bird list. Thank you, many of you who identified the European. I haven't had much luck with anything else today, but that's definitely this morning's highlight. Now I really am going to try and catch up with these elephants. They were at the dam area. I'm not sure if they're still there, but they'll be in the vicinity, so we'll do our very best to try and keep up with them. Okay. Jared's just let me know they're still on dam cam. They're moving off, but we are not too far out. So let's see if we can catch up with them, although the roads really don't make it too easy for us to get anywhere fast. Okay, holding on, Darby. Jerome, we actually went through this the other day, so I don't really want to bore everyone by getting the book back out. Don't know if I can multitask here. Possibly not. I possibly will have to stop. I will stop. I'll give you a very, very quick view of all the bee eaters. There you go. So very quickly, Darby, we'll just quickly run through them. You get the little, the carmine, the European, and the rosy. But the rosy's got such a limited distribution, number 4. In fact, it's very, very rare around Port Elizabeth in South Africa, nowhere else. I'm going to turn the page. And then you get the bombs, the white-fronted, the blue-cheeked, and the olive. The olive's only really found in Madagascar, pretty much give or take. And the bombs itself is also very, very rare. Mozambique. So there you go, that's the main bee eaters. But they're not all really found commonly in South Africa. But that's the first time for me to see the European. And as you can see, they're very, very flighty. I'd love to see them all. I'd love to go on a big birding trip. Jared has let me know that the elephants are moving towards Galago, so we're very far out, and I'm not entirely sure we'll be able to drive that road. But we will do our best. We got very distracted by that bird. And you can see the elephants have been here, you see that? We had no luck with Marives, just as an update. I mean, it was said he crossed in. We don't know when he crossed in. It could have been last night. And it's a very, very thick block. We went round and round, but it's just so thick. To pinpoint a leopard is extremely tricky. So we will try and catch up with these elephants for you. But for now, we're going to send you across to Steve.
Thanks, Lauren. Well, we've left our buffalo. They're slowly moving off the other direction, making some grunting noises as they do. The bulls start to push and pull and push the ladies around and other boys. And this is where the herd came and drank. There's lots of tracks all over, and you can actually see after our discussion yesterday the different layers of sediment. The very fine particulate matter is trying to settle. It hasn't quite yet settled, so if I churn it up, you'll see that's what the hooves of the buffalo would have done. You really get the sediment moving. All that fine particulate matter starts to sort of float on the surface. The heavier stuff obviously sinks at the bottom. That's why these watering holes look so dirty and so muddy. The lack of vegetation to suck out the nutrients, and the constant turbulence that's created by the buffalo coming to the edge to drink. Not that I've seen them drinking here before, but I've no doubt they have been. But the elephants every day swimming in around this watering hole. Very nice, peaceful place to come and sit and have a coffee. Pretty. My favourite part of bushwalks, Craig, is just being out and about. We get to exercise while we work, which is great, but the alertness. You know, you tend to get a little bit, I wouldn't say complacent in a vehicle, but you tend to get a little bit more comfortable. You feel a lot more safe in a vehicle when you're out on foot. Senses are alert. It really brings us into the moment, brings us into awareness, into alertness. But one of the reasons why we need someone like Willem with us is because this earpiece that both Gert and myself wear limits our directional hearing. If I normally walk, I'd always walk without anything in my ear, constantly listening, because hearing is probably one of our greatest senses out here. Obviously, eyesight is very helpful, but you often hear things far before you see them. And we heard those oxpeckers while we were tracking that herd away, and they weren't making too much noise, but just enough noise. Very, very important alarm call to hear when you are following animals in the bush. Oxpeckers, it might be on kudu, it might be on giraffe, it could also be on rhino or buffalo. So very important to pay attention to the little things. Open your ears, open your nose, and just feel everything that's going on around you. Well, we're going to probably walk around this watering hole a little bit longer. While we do so, we send you back over Djuma and Andrew.
Cool, good luck, Steve. So we now stop here looking at this tree, which is a marula tree, and looks like it's been disturbed by an elephant, or elephant. Or that could be maybe a single elephant, or maybe two, maybe usually one. And when I deep bark trees like this, it's all about the layer which is lying between the wood and the bark. And it comes so juicy for them. So to also debark trees like this, they use their tuskers, and then they stab trees on the side, and they wrap off the bark. So this could be the result that the tree would die because of there is no single bark that is left to support life span for this tree for the next coming future. So I'm going to be carrying on around here, search around for anything I'm going to find. I'm going to send you across to Tswalu.
Because that's a nest. So when you see Gemsbok, you know you're at Tswalu. But we've got a very interesting, it's a herd here. And there's a couple of youngsters, but there seems to be a bull that's in pursuit of one or two of the females. So there you can see different ages. So the youngsters, those are sort of the 6-month-old, 1-year-old, sort of 2-year-olds, gemsbok, much smaller in size, and their horns are still growing, but they've been pushed to the one side. And then there is at least one male. That's a nice big bull there, in pursuit of one of the females. So they're still quite small to be pushed away at this stage, but the young gemsbok will move off in a little, like a sort of, not quite a nursery group, but a group of youngsters for a time frame. We've got a few other little critters in the foreground here. They've just popped out of their hole. Some little ground squirrels. So we found a perfect little clearing to find a couple of ground squirrels feeding. So there's at least a family of about 4 here that we can see. They're just busy eating all the nice sort of green shoots. There's another 2 there. Yeah. 3, now that I see the extras. Now that BK is zoomed in, we definitely get more of a look. So they'll spend time around the burrows in the morning as well, doing similar to the meerkats, in that they'll clean their burrows. But it is pretty windy, so they're staying close to home, and there's more than enough grass shoots around that they can stay relatively close to their burrows. And then there's another little thing. I don't know if you're able to get those 2 little birds hopping around. One just flew past the screen, or if you come and land right in front, no, there they go. So that was, oh no, that doesn't help. He's landed right above us. That doesn't help for the camera. That was a pair of ant-eating chats, and they probably also nest in one of these burrows. Well, they do. Ant-eating chats do nest in burrows, but they've come off the ground there, close to where the squirrels were. So it's not impossible that they have had a nest there. Mike is asking the question, how many animal species stay in burrows? So I don't know the physical number off the top of my head, but I can tell you that it's ground squirrel, meerkat, we have Cape fox, we have bat-eared fox, porcupines live in burrows, aardvark, pangolin. Those are the ones that I can remember at the moment. Oh, warthog. So lots of animals use burrows in the Kalahari, and that's because underground it's much cooler underground. As soon as you go anywhere to a meter underneath the ground, the temperatures are much cooler. So in the heat of the day, that's sort of a safe refuge for animals, is to get down into that burrow. I can't see what that squirrel was eating. So you can see how much the grass is blowing there. The wind has picked up quite strongly, and that will affect them because they can't necessarily smell predators if the wind is blowing, or hear them very well. So hence the reason why they're sticking close to home today. Jerome is asking the question, do squirrels and meerkats ever fight over resources? I would probably say often it's the squirrels that make the holes and then the meerkats move in, and it's kind of whoever's got the most in number as to whether they dominate them. So you could see a hole as a resource. As far as food goes, you're actually noticing that the squirrels are spending most of their time actually eating roots and shoots. They do also eat insects, but not in the volume that the meerkats would eat. So the meerkats would focus more on the insects. So there could be a partial competition there, but not too much. The squirrels have got more than enough of a wide variety diet that I don't think that they would compete with the meerkats. And they do tolerate each other in the same sort of collection of burrows. They're never in the same hole, but in the same group of burrows. You will often find the squirrel and the meerkat, and they're fine with that because each one is looking, they share the same predators. So for them, caracal, honey badger, jackal, that would be their predators, as well as some of the eagles. So it doesn't matter which one alarms, they'll all respond to that. The gemsbok are not completely settled. That male's definitely disrupting the family peace at this stage, but they just are such impressive animals. When you see horns that long, that's quite something to manage on top of their heads. There we go, the calf's gone off with the mother. That's the male in the background there, one of the males, but not necessarily the biggest male of that group. So the ears and the tail working overtime, that means that there's a lot of louse flies in that group. So we're going to move on. We're going to send you across to Steve.
Thanks, Deirdre. So awesome to be able to show those other very special antelope on the show. And well, we have caught up with some very interesting tracks here again. Some scuff marks, some buffalo hooves over here, and then some toe drags, and then the hoof marks, and then into the bush it went. And a lot of people talk about who damages trees, who damages bark. And this has been damaged, it seems to be, by a buffalo scratching its head, scratching its boss, destroying the tree. They get very itchy behind the ears, and they also probably have hornborer moth growing in their head as well. So you'll often find buffalo bulls with very sort of orange colour to the top of their horn where they've been scratching. They stepped through here, they broke this branch. So it's not only elephants that break branches, buffaloes do well. Another scratching over here. Very, very fresh tracks in the sand. So when talking about animals that damage trees and damage the bark, and bark, as we know, is the protective agent, keeps these things from insect damage and fire, sort of dehydration. Here we've got buffalo, we know about elephant. What other animal do we know of? We've got a little sign over there, which is very cool, very nice to see. And we're following some tracks a bit earlier. It was a little unclear because of the mud, but the tracks come up the road from over here. And very characteristic sign, digging in the soil. See, the soil's been dug out. There's a footprint over there. There's another footprint over there. And then it's scratched and dug out the root of this tambuti. You can see the little bits of a root that have been left behind. And this is the track of a porcupine. Porcupine make very sort of keyhole-like shapes. Other animals will dig, but porcupine are the only one you'll find digging like this and looking for roots, which they will then obviously feed on. So this tree has now been damaged by a porcupine. It's a very natural process. They're feeding on the bark for the nutrients, and specifically the roots, which they obviously are able to ingest. So whether we have it more damage to plants by big animals, and by little animals. So you'll often find very, very large trees then will succumb to insect damage and also to fire due to the fact of very small little damage to the roots. Because the roots, the bark itself is sort of like a force field that keeps the plant from dehydrating, from insect attack, and from burning. And now this guy has now got some access, and it looks like anything could access it through there, but I'm sure it'll be just fine.
WildEarth is launching a brand new bushwalk from Pride Lands. With a slew of potential dangers lurking, it's essential to be aware of your surroundings whilst walking in the wilderness.
20 yards away from one of the most endangered species. This is a big bull.
What a moment, what a close encounter with an Ellie bull. He's just over here now. He's moved completely away.
Being on a bushwalk and seeing a leopard, I mean, it's ridiculous to be this close to a leopard on foot and for him not to run is absolutely insane. How crazy was that?
It's just the back of the head of a male lion. He is absolutely unaware that we are here right now. I tell you, seeing lions on foot, it definitely brings out the caveman in you, this little scared human being.
Converging game path will invariably lead you to a water source, but treat all water as suspect. One of my favorite ways of purifying water is to filter out the particulates. And by just filtering it through your sock, you can clear out most of those. You can put water into a snail shell and you can boil it over a fire or using a chemical like chlorine or colloidal silver.
Hi, my name is Tristan Dix and I am a guide here at Djuma Private Game Reserve for WildEarth. We love connecting you to the African bush, and we always look forward to all of your questions. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, you'll need to register on the website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit a question below the live feed. Catch up with me on WildEarth.
Okay, there's another big male coming in from our left here. Another big male, look at this. This is the one. Now you're going to see sparks fly, guys. Guys, it doesn't get better than this, eh? Yes! Unbelievable. Africa, I love you, eh?
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
So we're now here at the Gari Dam, looking at looks like a young water monitor lizard basking there in that log. There's not much of actually sun's coming out, you know, every now and then there's a cloud taking over. It's probably a little windy picking up as well. Water monitor lizards that depend on water, and they do come out the land, forage around. When they're outside of the water, they are actually main prey for eagles, which is a marshal eagle, those black-chested snake eagles, agui, buzzard as well. Those are the one would actually prey on this lizard. It's so cool that when in the water they can able to swim, because sometimes also climb trees like we saw the dry wood they're at the moment. You're asking if a water monitor lizard vocalize. So they make sound, kind of very deep, hissing sound. But, it's actually so deep. Usually when they do that, they don't actually open their mouth. So they put it on their throat. It's kind of like a little expand a bit like frog do, but that's how they make sound. But very much hissing, but deeper. So when they are fully growing, length about over 200 centimeter long. They can weigh roughly 6 to 7 kg. Around in this area, see if we got anything around, and I'm going to be sending you across to Phinda.
So we left those giraffes. We drove around quite a bit in these open grasslands, and there wasn't too much else around, and we decided it is starting to get quite hot. So we decided to come back towards this prominent waterhole where we did leave these lions, and they are still on the rocks, as you can see, but it seems like 2 of them have actually just dropped off the back of the rocks, maybe trying to get a little bit of shade. You can see that one on the left-hand side there's almost tucked itself up underneath the tree on the rocks. Mom on the right-hand side, she's got quite a bit of shade on her back. I think with that little bit of shade and this breeze that's blowing, she is still going to be all right there where she is. She's still got a perfect vantage point. You can hear those baboons still in the background, but they're nowhere near as vocal as they were a little bit earlier on this morning. Can just see one lion just behind the mom. It almost looks like it's trying to climb down from the rocks. I mean, it is extremely hot now. That overcast cloud layer has actually moved off. Clouds are moving pretty fast, so I think it's going to be quite the scorcher here on andBeyond Phinda today. There you can see one's come up. Just lying down next to mom. And it's amazing to see the bond that lions have together. They're very, very affectionate. I mean, they're often rubbing up against one another. They often groom one another. And that's just to improve the social bond between lions. I mean, they are the only social cat that we get. Other cats, like cheetah and leopards, they're not as social as lions are. They don't form prides. Often when you see cheetah, males will be in coalitions, so 2 or 3, sometimes even up to 5. But leopards are often solitary or with their cubs, whereas lions, they form prides, so they're often in big groups together. I mean, ranging from 4 or 5 up to 20 or even 30 in some parts of the country or in Africa. Beautiful how this male lion just put his paws over the rocks there. And you can see he's quite inquisitive. He's actually looking at us. No, he just turned away. And that one on the top left almost looks quite uncomfortable at the moment. Maybe there's a couple of sharp rocks up there that he wants to lie down in the shade, but he's unable to just because of the shape of the rocks up there. That's exactly it. Pride Rock from the Lion King. I know we do have male lions up top here, but just imagine a fully grown male lion, that beautiful big mane, dark black mane of his, with his two paws over the rocks, just like that one on the right, with that beautiful mane blowing in this breeze. It's the real life Lion King out here on andBeyond Phinda this morning. It's amazing how hot it's gotten just as the sun peeks out behind the clouds. So I think things like the buffalo that we saw earlier on, even those elephants, they could even potentially start heading towards water where they'll have their morning drink. Maybe even potentially start to move towards a mud wallow and maybe bathe themselves in mud, just to give that extra protection layer. You can see that one on the left, the male. Beautiful, he's covered by that tree. See how his ears have pricked up and he's focused in on something. I wonder if maybe there's not some type of antelope, maybe a wildebeest or zebra moving in the distance that he's noticed. He's lost interest. I think I can just see the branches moving in the back. I think that other lion there's slowly coming up, trying to make an appearance. Maybe it knows that there's a cameraman here, wants to get in some of the action. So, Anna Marie, the biggest prey that these lions will be able to take down, I would say that these three together would most likely be able to take down a wildebeest. I think that the strength of three of them, they'll be able to take down a wildebeest, maybe even a young buffalo. I mean, if they get all their ducks in a row and are able to surround a buffalo, maybe a younger buffalo, maybe not a fully grown buffalo bull or dugger boy, but yeah, a fully grown wildebeest, maybe even a giraffe, a younger giraffe, they'll be able to take down. But I mean, as they grow much bigger and stronger, they'll be able to take things like a fully grown buffalo, even a fully grown giraffe, they'll be able to take down. And I mean, just imagine a coalition of three males surrounding a buffalo bull, an old buffalo bull, that's potentially struggling or has been kicked out of the herd by himself. He's quite vulnerable, especially to three dominant male lions. So it will be interesting to see if once they do leave mom, what prey species they go for. I mean, in this area here, it's a very good area for where we are now for wildebeest and zebras. So I think that's what they're going to be hunting for a while, until they are able to successfully maybe take down a buffalo. And I mean, you did see we were with that herd of, if you were watching earlier, we were with that big herd of buffalo. And there's a couple of herds of buffaloes in this area, so I wonder if maybe one day these three will take the big leap of faith and try and take down a buffalo. It's always been something on my bucket list to see. Natasha, they are very relaxed. Hey? You can see they're resting. They've got a perfect little spot up there. They're even also very relaxed with us being here. I mean, from where they are, we're probably 20 meters or so from them, maybe 15. And they don't even take notice of us. I mean, as we pulled in, they lifted their heads, they looked at us, but they don't see us as a threat whatsoever. I mean, we've been viewing these cubs now for about 1.5 years or so, and we're very ethical when we start to view lion cubs. I mean, you can imagine a young lion that comes out of a den site at 3 months old or so. The first time it sees this big green machine coming towards it, it actually has absolutely no idea what it is, what it's there to do, what potential threat it is to them. So when we first find cubs, we'll actually view them just one vehicle at a time. And eventually, in a little bit, we'll then view them 2 vehicles. And eventually, once they're very relaxed around 2, we'll then have 3 vehicles and no more than 3 vehicles. I mean, you don't want to surround them if they are lying down. You want to give them enough space to move around and sort of do what they do. And it's just amazing to be able to spend time in the life of a lion with them not even looking at us, going about their daily duties, doing what they do, even if we weren't there. It's one of the amazing things to do while in the African bush. So I think we might sit for a little bit longer around this waterhole, maybe find a little patch of shade and see if there are any animals that maybe come down to drink. But for now, we're going to send you over to Lauren, see what she's up to.
We have spotted something. The question is, can you spot what we have spotted? On this Waltheria indica, the best sort of flowering plant to check out here for what we're looking for. The big reveal on you go, Dobby.
It's a bit windy.
It is a bit windy. Shall I go and hold it? Let's try. I'm sure you can all see it. It is, in fact, a flower mantis. Now, you get different types of flower mantids. I'm just going to hook in my radio here. You're going to get to see my fabulous shorts. Hello, beautiful. Now, this is most likely the female. Yes, now you're looking at me, but I want you to look at the camera. No need to look at me. She likes my shorts, so she's moving. Look at that.
Oh, it's quite a nice view.
You got it?
Nice view of her back.
Okay. Incredible eyesight. And she's staring directly at me. We're having a moment here, because she obviously, of course, thinks I'm a bit of a threat. Okay, for now, over to Tswalu.
We've just found a snake in one of the sociable weavers' nests. We're a little bit further away because we can't go off-road. I'm trying to see whether it's a cobra or a boomslang, but I think, from what I can see, it looks like a female boomslang, which is a tree snake. And the way that they get themselves wedged in there like that is that they just make like a U-bend on one of the links in their body. So, that sounds terrible. So, it's one long. They put their head in and then they turn into one of the holes and then they anchor themselves in one of those holes when they come out. So that's sort of the head on the bottom. Nice lighter undercolor and then the much bigger eyes. Oh. Yeah. There we go. Moving back. It's a female boomslang, so caused definitely some chaos in that nest. The weavers were all over the top, but they'll just leave it alone. There's nothing they can do. They're small, really, really small in nature, so all they can do is alarm and let everybody else know that there's a predator at the nest. But they're not going to stop that boomslang from either consuming eggs or chicks. Oh, looks like it's going to tie itself in a bit of a knot there, literally just hanging. How awesome is this? This is live happening at this moment. Oh, there it's going to move and do exactly the same. I can't quite decide which way to go. It's also got to make sure that it doesn't fall out the tree. So it's got to make sure that it's got a place where it can get proper purchase and get into a hole and then make that U shape in order to move between the different holes. Because most of the holes face downwards. Oh, don't tie yourself in a knot. Using the branch now. Oh, she's definitely eaten something. Look at that bulge in her belly. More than one thing, that is for sure. Wow. This is so amazing. I agree. I wouldn't even know how many more chicks she could possibly consume. I mean, her belly is quite full. But if there's food available in the nest and it fits, why not? That'll take her time to consume chicks. And she's definitely eaten more than one, that's for sure. But there will be anywhere up to 2 to 3 chicks in one nest. I'm just amazed at how she's using the muscles to hold herself onto that branch to go and stick her head in another hole to see if there's another possibility of food there. Jackson is asking the question, how can the weavers protect themselves from the snake? So it's very, very difficult for them. That's one of the reasons why they just breed in such large numbers altogether. And they often allow a little bird called a pygmy falcon as a pair to live in the colony, and the pygmy falcon sometimes acts as a bit of a bouncer in that if there is a predator like a snake nearby, the falcon will attack at the snake and maybe try and repel it and send it away from the nest. The sacrifice for them, though, however, is that sometimes the falcon itself also chooses to grab 1 or 2 chicks out of the nest when they're not paying too much attention. But as little birds, it is just one of those things that they have to accept, is that there will be predation that they can't do anything about. They themselves don't want to be caught by the snake and eaten, so there is a loss for them this morning, and that snake is gone, so we didn't get... How awesome was that? So you can even find that snake could just find a chamber within that nest to continue to digest those chicks that it's eaten. And then that might be enough food supply for that particular snake for a relatively long time before going into winter, because a lot of them will actually go through a type of hibernation. They don't really move. They're almost inactive during the winter seasons. So they're definitely a good stock up of the larder there that she's just done. Might even get herself through the winter season based on what she's just eaten there. So we're going to move on. We can't see the boomslang anymore. We're going to send you across to Lauren at Djuma.
Now, I'm just going to get Davi to turn this radio down. She's climbed onto my hand. I was holding the flower after you left us last. And I just want to try and show you, because it's very obvious when you see her like this, the female flower mantis, or one of the species of flower mantis. She stands out. She's obvious. It's only when she's on the plant that she's hard to see. Now, where are you going, girlfriend? Of course I'm going to put her back on this plant, but I just think it was really sort of nice to see her. Can you see her like this, Davi? I'll try and make sure my hand doesn't shake too much. And she just came to inspect us, to see what we are. But of course, for a flower mantis to move like this, she's a female, she's much bigger, it gives the game away. So any potential pollinators who are going to come by, they know that danger can lie away in the flowers. And therefore, the minute she moves, the game's up, and the pollinator, be it a bee, a butterfly, will not, of course, come by. They'll move. They'll see movement and they'll think, oh no, predators lying in wait. Could be a flower mantid, could be a flower crab spider. So she's got to stay remarkably still or she'll never ever get food. Hello, beautiful. Can we put you back on the plant that you belong? Okay. There you go. There's your plant. She doesn't even want to go. But I'd love to sit with a sort of camera and watch these insects and actually see. Bye. She's watching me. I'm going to move out your way, Davi. And actually see how successful they really are. How many times a day do they actually catch a pollinating insect? Now, of course, it's only going to be in summer. But look at her move. She's so obvious when she's moving like that. But when she's not, she's really, really difficult to see. And pollination is one of the fundamental processes of any ecosystem. We need it. We need it to happen. It's basically where pollen is transferred from the male part, the anther, to the stigma part, the female part of a flower, another flower, in order to reproduce. They come in different sort of forms, hummingbirds, butterflies, beetles, bats, moths. But this flower mantid is waiting for an insect. She's waiting for an insect to, of course, come along to the flower and then snatch it up. So this is a species that has evolved or specially adapted to take advantage of the pollination process, which is just really fantastic. But as I mentioned, she's got to stay still. So a butterfly or a bee or a moth may, of course, oh, the wind's not doing her any favors. But the male doesn't hunt that way. The male's much smaller and constantly mobile because he's small. He's not trying to replicate the flower. He doesn't need to stay still. But that's the tricky part. The females evolved such a specialized hunting technique because it's successful. Because it's successful, it thrives, and therefore, I think Davi's telling me she has disappeared. Let me just see. She is here, but of course it's very, very windy. Now, what I have just noticed behind us, some elephants, or at least one elephant. If I just drive 10 meters ahead, we're going to get a view of the elephant. Bye, pretty lady. And taking advantage of a process like pollination is just phenomenal. I really thought I saw an elephant. Do you see it, Darby? Oh yes, okay, we see it. There we go, we'll get a view from here. Beautiful bull, just walking across quarantine. We'll try and get a little bit closer. But there you go. And of course, to our eyes, just going back to the flower mantis, we can see it, we can pick out. We're highly visual. We don't have the best sort of colour spectrum in terms of vision, but we do see colour and we see it well. So that's how we're able to pick out that flower mantid. But to an insect, that's not necessarily the case. They won't see the insect, they won't see the mantid. What they will see is movement. And immediately they will abort. they will leave that flower that they were hoping to sort of come and pollinate. So like a butterfly, she'll come down. As soon as she sees movement, she's going to move away because she knows, they're aware that although they need to come and drink the nectar from flowers, threats lie in wait. Predators, insect predators, are waiting. There's lots of different predators. We often just think it's the cats or the dogs. But in fact, there's lots of insect predators that have such incredible techniques. Okay, we're going to try and go around and get this elephant, but it's a bit of a long way round on a horrendous road. Are you holding on, Darby? I think we will all need a chiropractor. If any of you are chiropractors, please come and visit us. Yeah, we're going to manage to catch up with them. Oh, many of you are saying how beautiful that mantis was. Unbelievably so. And you get much bigger ones, especially mantids that sort of specialize in orchids. And the coloration, the pattern, mind-blowing. But it's obviously, when you think about how that started in terms of sort of evolution, it must have started from a process of one mantis realizing, sitting by this flower is pretty cool. I'm getting lots of snacks. I'm just hanging out at this flower, watching the world go by, waiting for the world to change. And all the insects are coming down to this flower. This is a great thing to do, and that's how that would have started long time ago. And they probably realized the stiller we stay, the more insects we get. Okay, this insect is an elephant, sorry, not insect. I'll give you one little view of this bull. He's definitely on a mission up ahead, and we're going to try and keep up with him.
Hi, I'm Lisa. I'm here in Northern California.
This is an Anna's hummingbird. We love seeing him because he brings a little magic and energy to our cold, wintry backyard.
In the winter, they politely visit one at a time, but in the summer, they gorge themselves in groups to prepare for their long migration south. As the hummingbirds fly south, over 1 million of these Canadian geese travel the Pacific Flyway from the Arctic to spend the winter with us. They like wetlands and we're in a drought, but they seem pretty happy on the dry bank of Folsom Lake here. This has been a tough year everywhere, but one good thing was we found WildEarth, who encouraged us to relieve our stress through nature. There's a saying that
a distraction is momentary, an escape helps you heal.
I got into wildlife filmmaking because of a passion for nature and a notion that I could make a difference. Helping others fall in love with nature brings meaning to what I do. It's also a lot of fun. A couple of times per week we receive some very heartfelt messages from viewers telling us about how WildEarth has made a difference in their life, whether it's helped them through a difficult period or simply helped them to reconnect with nature. I think that's why we do what we do.
I'm Nikki here at andBeyond in Ngala in South Africa. I love getting questions from viewers about all the small things within the environment and how it all is integrated with one another. If you want to ask me any questions, please simply register with the WildEarth website, head across to the Live Safari page and then post your questions there. I'm looking forward to chatting to you on my next WildEarth drive.
I've seen something I've never seen here before. Look at these cubs. One is crossing the river, it's being washed away unfortunately, but I'm sure the mother is going to save her. Look at that! How beautiful, look at that! One crossing, two to go. How cool is this?
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth Daily.
So we're still sitting here with the lions on Pride Rock, and just been chatting to Craig, and it's just been one incredible morning out here in the western parts of andBeyond Phinda. And we've been chatting quite a lot about these lions on the rocks and things. And it's just an amazing scene. Even though they're not doing too much, I mean, they are looking around. It's just amazing to take in all of what's happened today, even while just looking at these lions here up top on these rocks. It's amazing how there are some clouds even starting to roll in a little bit, and as soon as that sun does go behind the clouds, it's crazy how it can cool off quite quickly. So I'm sure it's nice for these lions up on this rock. As soon as there's a little bit of cloud cover, how it can cool them down quite rapidly. There is also, however, a small little breeze, which is, I'm sure, cooling them down. Myself and Craig, we were sitting baking in the sun with these lions, and we decided to just park a little bit in the shade just to try and get out of that heat of the sun. These lions do look majestic. I mean, it's not too often that you do see lions on boulders like this, but especially here on Phinda. If you haven't ever been to Phinda, I would suggest you do make a trip to andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. It's incredible. These lions here, they often enjoy the mountainous regions, and to see a pride of lions right at the top of a mountain overlooking an area. There's a pride in Phinda called Mountain Pride that often enjoy the rocky outcrops and things. It's just an incredibly special thing to see, right on top of the rocks. There you can see the lion on the right hand side, the mane. You can actually see how it's blowing in the wind. And I've just been thinking while sitting here, imagining a dominant male lion sitting up top of this rock, just like Lion King, and then letting out one of those beautiful roars. It's possibly one of the best sounds you'll ever hear in the bush. When on a very, very still evening, listening to that vocalization of a male lion, vocalizing his territory, showing everyone that he's the dominant one in this area. I can just imagine even how it would echo off the water that's just behind us. So maybe one day, while I'm here at Phinda, I'll be able to witness that. And every time I come past this rock over here, I'll be thinking Pride Rock and waiting for that day that there's a male lion that's called in, sitting on top of these rocks over here. Maybe with these three, I mean, they are very familiar with this area. So I wonder if maybe when they are a little bit older, these three maybe will even come back to this specific spot right where they are right now. You can see how they've all three now put their heads down. That one on the right hand side's just rested his head on the mom's foot. Mom's got her head resting on the rocks. Even the one on the far left is still looking up, It's got his head down, just resting, relaxing. So it's been an incredible morning out here on andBeyond Phinda. And I just want to say thank you very much to everybody for watching and joining us on this live safari. And I hope that we'll see this afternoon at 3:30, same place.